Okay, guys, I'm going to walk you through the process of adding your paperback to Amazon. So you can see that I'm in my Kindle dashboard. I'm under where my Kindle ebook is live. And so I'm going to click on Create Paperback right here. Now, since I already have all my information, my publishing information in here, I don't have to change any of this. I've got the series information. This isn't a new edition. If it's a new edition, you could add that. Um, just check and make sure that all of your uh, information is correct. Obviously, you're the author. You don't have to add any contributors. Make sure your description is correct. It's going to be the same as your paperback one, especially on Amazon. It doesn't matter in this particular thing. Just double check your keywords. The categories are pretty much the same. Now let's see, I need to choose a secondary one because they aren't the same for books as they are for ebooks. Um, so sometimes it doesn't translate. Like if one of your ones that you had selected before is not a part of uh, the books as well as the Kindle, because you can see there's fewer choices under mystery and detective. And you, again, like we talked about before, you can email Amazon and add more categories. But at the moment, I'm going to make sure that at least two of them are chosen. So since one of mine disappeared, I'm going to make sure there's at least two right here. Um, not going to click large print, not going to click adult content. If you do click adult content, this will impact how you can advertise your books on Amazon and even on Facebook. So if you are writing erotica, that's something that you need to do. Obviously, it doesn't apply in this particular case to us. So I'm going to save and continue. Now, when I get in here, I'm going to use my own ISBN. Now, I have created ISBNs for us and I have them, and I'll send you yours. And I've already assigned them in Valker, so I'm going to just grab that ISBN, put it here, and then your imprint, you can add whatever imprint you want here. Now, I am going to add media slash Bert books, which is exactly what I put on the ebook as well. Notice this publication date. This is why we didn't upload these early. If you drop a file in here and publish before you publish your ebook, like you have your ebook on pre-order, but you drop your files in here and hit go ahead for publish, then basically it's going to publish it right away, pretty quick. Okay, so now you want to be sure that if you told the cover designer cream paper that you make the selection of cream paper, there's just a slight difference in the thickness of the paper. So that's why the template is slightly different for your book cover. So if you select something other than what you told, basically told Elle at this point, then no. And now I'm going to select the trim size. Anyway, it's your cover is not going to fit exactly. It's not going to look quite right. Now choose your trim size for harvested and teaching moments. I chose this trim size. So just make sure that those settings are correct, that you've chosen the correct settings. No bleed. And then whatever cover finish you want. Now since harvested is a matte finish, I'm going to go with a matte finish on teaching moments as well so the series hangs together. You can go through either way. It doesn't really matter. It makes no difference in the cover design. It just makes a difference in how your cover looks. And so, yeah, like I said, because I have harvested as matte, I'm going to go with matte here. Now I'm going to upload my paperback manuscript. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my files that I have here. So I have under teaching moments files down here. Have sure. That's the sample file. So this is the actual files. So I'm going to go inside here and I'm going to find the PDF. Now, wherever you have the PDF stored, and the print PDF. So I'm going to upload that first. And so obviously that's going to take, Amazon's going to take its time to upload that file. It's generally kind of a big PDF. So it takes a little bit of time for them to save it. And then I'm going to upload a cover you already have. The default is using a cover creator. You don't want to do that. You want to upload a cover you already have, a print-ready PDF. So we're going to upload our cover file. So I'm going to go back into here, of course. Okay, so now that I've gone and found that, I have my Teaching Moments print wrap. This print wrap, it's the one for KDP. That's very important, although it'll likely work for draft to digital, and we'll explore that in a few minutes. So basically, you grab your print wrap and you upload that. Now, obviously, that's going to take some time as well. But because the way we get them from our cover designer, they're already ready to go. You don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. So we're just going to let it upload. And now we do not check this box. We don't include a barcode in our covers. I don't anyway. I allow that to be generated by Amazon or by whatever other retailer that I'm using in that particular case. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the previewer. And it's going to take a minute to prepare our files. What this is going to do is show us if there's any errors. For instance, if you chose the wrong color of paper, you might get an error because your cover is not quite the size that you expected, or something like that. There are ways to fix that, but hopefully in this particular case, we're not going to see any of that. Okay, now that we can see that that's uploaded, the main things you want to look at here is you don't want anything touching the red lines that's essentially vital to your print. Because what that's going to mean is that that part could potentially be cut off when it came time for printing. So essentially you can take a really quick look. If it looks like something's close, you might want to zoom in. For instance, I might zoom in here and see and say, that barely falls within the border. And usually it'll print within the white. The folds will be on the white. So usually I'm not going to have a problem with that particular thing. So then I'm going to zoom back out and I can scroll through and look at the pages and see if this is what I want things to look like. I can make sure I have the table of contents and that all the chapter heads look the way that I want, because this is exactly how it's going to print. Now you can go through this as exactly as fine-toothed as you want to. Since I've created all the files through Vellum and I've looked at them all through there, I'm fairly confident. So I might look through a few chapter heads just to make sure that they look the way that I want them to look. And as long as they do, I'm not going to go through and look at every single page. I can see that all the pages fall within the guidelines of where I want them to be. The font looks like a decent size, all those different types of things. So I've chosen to say this is good to go. Now, if I created a large print version of this or something like that, I might be a little pickier about going through and seeing where some of these transition and breaks happen and make sure I'm not getting some weird hyphenations or something. But it appears that this is pretty decent overall. So I'm going to roll with this. So since I've got the quality check over here, basically it's just you can hover over the guides, you can check through all these different things. I can double check that my ISBN, the binding type that I chose, because you can do hardbacks through Amazon now, although I'm not going to do a hardback of this particular book. I might do a hardback compilation or something like that. But make sure the barcode doesn't overlap with any text on the back of on the cover of the book, all those different kind of things. Once you've done this, you can just go over here, and once you're happy with it, hit approve. Okay. And once you do that, basically we've got our own ISBN. We've got everything uploaded. We have our cover uploaded. We have our manuscript uploaded. We've launched the previewer and we've looked at that. Now we're going to get our printing cost over here, $5.48 per book. So that's going to help us determine what pricing we're going to put on our book. But now that we know that, we're going to move on to our next step of pricing. Now, we're going to click all territories here. Our primary marketplace is going to be Amazon.com. We are not going to do expanded distribution through Amazon. Now, the reason for that is really, really simple. And the reason for that is because bookstores obviously won't order from Amazon. So if you're trying to get something in bookstores, we're going to have to go through Drafted Digital or Ingram or another source. Okay. We're only going to go wide in this case on our paperbacks. Our ebooks are exclusive to Amazon under Kindle Unlimited, so we can get those page reads and stuff like that, at least in this particular case. But our paperbacks, we want to go as wide as possible. So we're going to leave this expanded distribution unclicked. Okay. Now, especially if you've already entered, if at this point you've already entered your ISBN at Ingram or somewhere else where you're printing books, well, then it's actually going to show up and tell you that you can't do expanded distribution with that ISBN. Amazon's going to already detect that that's somewhere else. Okay. So we're going to look, our minimum price is $9.14. Our maximum is $250, right? In this particular case, let's say we go in and put $9.99 as our price. Well, we can see what our printing cost is, but we can also see what our wholesale rate is. So essentially, if somebody buys this book through Amazon, if we buy author copies, they're $5.48, and that's a good deal for us. But if somebody buys the paperback through Amazon, we only get 51 cents. So that is not necessarily a great deal. So in this case, I would probably put myself up to $12.99. So I'm making a couple bucks per book when people are buying them through Amazon. Now you can look down, this automatically populates all these different fields from around the world. Amazon Japan, basically you're going to make nothing from your book if you leave it this way. So, and it's set at the minimum of $15.78. So you can raise this if you would like, because basically when we include the VAT from Japan, then we're looking at what that is. We're looking at a really narrow margin. In a lot of other countries, you're going to have a really narrow margin too. I don't mind that because we're just going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave these Australia and Canada alone. You can raise prices in Australia. Australia is used to paying more prices for books, but many readers there kind of see it like price gouging to a certain extent. And since I don't sell a whole ton of books in Australia, I'm just going to leave this at 38 cents. Okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. You can do whatever you want for that, right? Now, it can take up to 72 hours for your book to be available for purchase on Amazon. Usually, it doesn't take that long. As soon as this comes through as being available, I'm going to order author copies to make sure that we have them for upcoming conferences and appearances and stuff like that. So, as soon as the book status changes to live, you'll be able to order your author copies here. Okay? And a lot of times I'll weigh whether I'm ordering my author copies through Amazon or through another service based on what that cost per copy is going to be and what it's going to cost me for shipping. Okay? But so I've got all this. I just need to make sure that all my pricing is correct and that my primary marketplace is correct. The only time you would change this is if you did a translation, for instance, into German or something like that, then you would put Germany as your primary marketplace for that translation, and then you would still distribute on all the other ones. So somebody could still buy a German version in the US But your primary place that Amazon would market that book would be obviously to Germany. So if you do translations and things like that, that's when you would change that. Okay, so now we're just going to hit publish. It's going to go through the saving process, and it's going to show us our final screen that we want to get to, which is basically going to say that your paperback's been submitted. Now, usually within 24 hours, and hopefully in our case within 24 hours, so by the time we have our event tomorrow, the actual physical books will be available, and we can advertise those, and then we can have ordered author copies so that we can give those away. And that's all there is to that.